something that is absolutely crucial when you think about artificial intelligence. There is no one single company that is the one-stop shop for everything you need from artificial intelligence. Not even Nvidia, even though they have great technology and they do a bunch of great things, it requires a number of different tools and technologies. Not only that, but we're also seeing rapid innovation in this space. Everyone's talking about agents right now. Nobody's really talking about agents a year ago. So in next year, there's probably going to be something else that we're all talking about that no one's talking about this year. So the challenge is, it's requiring partnerships, because nobody can offer a full stack, everything you possibly need, infrastructure, code, tools, everything. Number one, but then also the fact that organizations want to partner because they also need to stay in touch with all the new innovation that's happening to make sure they don't get left behind. And so if you think about that from a business standpoint, from a consumer or an IT leader, CIO standpoint, on one hand, that's great, because what you want is the more partnerships. It provides better validation to solutions. Hey, look, these companies are working together, they pre-validated, they've made sure it works, so it reduces some level of risk. That's helpful. The other part, though, is it does make it complicated, because every organization has an AI story, and they all sound very similar. And where the burden falls to, unfortunately for right now, it falls to the CIO and their team to parse through the noise and understand, okay, yes, every company has an AI story. What is your building block, so to speak, that you're being delivered? How does that fit with the rest of the other building blocks? Who do you partner with? And what's the best way to leverage you? And these are the types of questions that we see being asked over and over again, and organizations are just going to have to keep asking them. We see a lot of excitement in, okay, how can I put in agents? How can this help manage my IT operations environment? But at the same time, we sit and say, well, there's a lot of tools that are already developed to do a lot of AI, do a lot of automation for infrastructure as well as optimization. So right now, I think we're still in we need to learn phase. I see a lot of interest in things like, knowledge sharing. How can we put basically all of our training manuals into AI and make that easier to search? We see a lot in terms of how do I use AI to do things like work with, customer support and trouble tickets, things like that. Those are early areas where people have seen adoption. I have seen organizations say, well, look, maybe we can do some sort of agent-based model to do troubleshooting and put in, identify possible root cause of issues and some sort of remediation. I think we're still very early in that stage, but honestly, this is a stage that even me as an analyst, I actually have research active right now to see where organizations are. I think this is going to be a rapidly evolving space, and it's going to be where different organizations just have a different level of risk appetite to how they want agents to work and how quickly they're able to adopt them.
Put it in perspective how fast people have to learn things nowadays.
As I think about that question, because it's something I think about quite a bit, I want to compare it to the early days of public cloud adoption, because it was very much, AWS was out there, you saw movement from Google, you saw movement from Microsoft. Okay, how do we modernize? Everyone had to move to the cloud. That was the thing. We all need to move to the cloud. But even that, even though it represented a fundamental paradigm shift in the way in which we think about apps and infrastructure and even IT operations, it was somewhat contained, because at the end of the day, there were still, a handful of major players. There wasn't just the proliferation of hundreds, if not thousands, of different startups with different tools and different technologies, and everyone's doing your own thing. And also, cloud, in a sense, was a way of optimizing things we already had, right? It was a way of, instead of doing our own data center, we can offload the work to somebody else. Okay, look, I can access it not from a component level, I can do it from an SLA level. So the language and the ideas stayed very similar. I think with AI, one of the fascinating elements is the area of what's unknown is much bigger than it probably has ever been in a long time. And I can't think of a time frame where there's just been this combination of, scale of unknown as well as rapid evolution in innovation happening all at the same time. So yeah, to me, it's unprecedented.